Okay, so in this table, what we're going to look at are some patterns that we need to recognize when we choose our two numbers when we're factoring trinomials. So in the first row, we see it's been already done for us. Our goal is to find two numbers, and the two numbers have to have a certain sum and a certain product. So in the first row, we're looking for numbers that have a sum of 9 and a product of 20. And we can see that the two numbers are 4 and 5. So the reason why we know that they are 4 and 5 is because 4 plus 5 gives us 9, and 4 times 5 gives us 20. Okay, let's do the second row together. We need two numbers with a sum of 5 and a product of 6. Now, it's always easier to start with the number that you want the product to be. So if I want the product to be 6, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a list of all the factors of 6. So I'm going to make a list of all the possible pairs of numbers that would multiply to 6. Now, of those possible pairs, I want to choose the pair that also adds up to 5. So we can see that 2 and 3 would be my choice. And we're going to write down 2 and 3, and then we're just going to show the check real quick. 2 plus 3 gives me 5, but 2 times 3 gives me 6. You can see I have a little typo there. I wrote 2 times 6. It should be 2 times 3. Sorry. Let's do another row. Let's skip down and let's do where the sum is 3, but the product is negative 28. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a list of factors for negative 28. So we have 1 and 28, 2 and 14, 4 and 7. But now we're trying to multiply to a negative 28. So that means we need one positive number and one negative number. And when we decide what our signs are, we have to look at what we want the sum to be. We want the sum to be a positive 3. So I can tell I want 4 and 7, because if one of those is positive and one of them is negative, I can get to be a positive 3. So if I want a positive 3, it means the 4 has to be negative, but the 7 has to be positive. So the numbers that I want are negative 4 and 7, because negative 4 plus 7 gives me 3, but negative 4 times 7 gives me negative 28. All right, let's try another row. Let's do the very bottom row. So I want to multiply to positive 40. Now, I could make another list of all the numbers, 1 and 40, 2 and 20. But hopefully you're getting to the point where you can kind of start to predict ones that won't even work, so we don't even need to write them down. Like 1 and 40, not going to add up to 13. 2 and 20, not going to add up to 13. Okay, so let's put 4 and 10. Aha, let's put 5 and 8. So if I make them both negative, they will multiply to a positive 40, but they will add up to a negative 13. So I want negative 5 and negative 8, because negative 5 plus negative 8 is negative 13, but negative 5 times negative 8 is positive 40. So I encourage you to pause the video right now, finish the rest of the rows, and then come back and check. Okay, for the third row, we want 9 and 2. For the fourth row, we want 3 and negative 2. Then we want 6 and negative 3. Then we want negative 10 and 2. Then we want negative 5 and positive 1. And then for the last few rows, now you're going to notice both numbers are negative. So we're going to have a negative 4 and a negative 3, and a negative 6 and a negative 1. So now I really want to focus on some patterns. You'll notice for the first 3 rows, my two numbers were both positive. That's because I was multiplying to a positive sum. I was multiplying to a positive product and adding to a negative sum. If you look at the next, 5 rows, you'll notice one of our numbers were negative and one of our numbers were positive. The reason why is because the products in all those rows were negative. The only way to have a negative product is if you multiply one positive and one negative. But then you have to look at the sum to decide which one gets the negative sign and which one gets the positive sign. And then for the last 3, you'll notice both numbers were negative. That was because we were multiplying to a positive product, but we were adding to a negative sum. So we always needed to have 2 negative numbers. Okay. Really quick, I'm going to go back and fix my mistake that we talked about over here. This should be 2. Sorry, this should be 2 times 3 to give us a product of 6. So hopefully these patterns helped you as we are factoring our trinomials.